Hey, it's Kristen with Collision Hub, and we're back with another episode of Cool Tools. So last year at SEMA, the GUNIWHEEL won Product of the Year, right?
Correct, yeah, we won the media award, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw it running around and I didn't get a chance to use it, but I kept thinking, man, I have got to get my hands on one of those and try it out. I was thinking of all the different things you could do in the shop. And then, well, in April, 3M put my car on blocks in the shop. So I was gone on a shoot, 3M came in for a shoot, I come back, and my training car is literally on blocks, on my two-post lift. All the wheels and tires are gone, and I've got to think about how I'm getting it down. And then I'm thinking, I really got to get a GUNIWHEEL. And we got them in and got to testing them. Been playing with them now for about 6 months total, off and on to around our shops. And I got to tell you, I'm really liking them, and I'm really starting to recommend them to all our shops. So I thought it'd be a great idea to have you come in and just tell us the story. So first of all, I want to know the story of the wheel, how you came up with it, and I also kind of want to know how it got its name.
Sure, so I come from the background of the body shop and the wheel repair industry, right? And I just saw the need for a product to keep cars mobile and safe where they belong, on the ground. My biggest thing with my technicians was all the damage they were causing to the bottom of the rocker panels, the suspension, by putting jack stands at the wrong location. It becomes a guessing game. After a few of damages, and you know it always happens on the most expensive cars, right? It's not going to happen on a small little Kia, it's going to happen on an S550 Mercedes. So what happened was we got called out to a huge body shop out in Phoenix where we actually couldn't match the color of the wheels. And the guy said to me, if you guys don't get these wheels right, take your account and get out of here. I need that Maserati in the shop getting repaired. I'm done with you guys. Went back the next day, the color was still wrong, but you know what happened? The guy kicked us out. That night I started designing the GUNIWHEEL. So basically, after a few trial and errors with different sizes, different components, you know, I actually started doing the wheel as a plastic base with a polyurethane, and it was just getting too wide and bulky. So, you know, that didn't work. And that's why I've gone to steel and solid rubber. Keep it compact, keep it light, and keep it strong. So the GUNIWHEEL, basically, the wording in here, if you actually see it, says uni, which means universal wheel. So to bring it a name and give it a meaning and actually become something, I called it the GUNIWHEEL, as my daughter's name is Gabriella, and the G obviously comes for Gabriella. And growing up, you know, as kids, we used to play marbles, and the Goonie was
the one you had to have.
Everybody wanted to win the Goonies, so that's where the GUNIWHEEL name comes from. So it's really become, if I can say, a household name in the auto industry now, because a technician will reach out to the guy and say, hey, go get me the GUNIWHEEL. He's not going to say, get me the universal wheel, because he's going to go, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
That could be anything. So the GUNIWHEEL has become a name in our industry, which is great.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose.
I do love the name. I think if I could come up with something to name after my kid, but my kid keeps breaking stuff, so I don't know what I could name that would be just optimum destruction for him. But now that he's heard your story, he's gonna request that I name something after him. So let's go through material real quick. So it is a steel wheel.
Correct.
So very similar to the spares that we used to see before the OEMs took them out for weighting.
Exactly. It's the same compound steel that they use on the trailer wheels or the spare wheels. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the rubber, a little bit difference in the rubber. Now you're on
Correct.
kind of the second design of the rubber.
Correct. You're right. And we actually got two different designs going on here. I did actually increase the thickness of the steel in this new version. And the rubber is actually closer to a polyurethane now than a natural rubber. Much stronger, and it's able to take a lot more load rating now. So even though we tested the wheel at 2,500 pounds, version 1, this one can go over 3,000 pounds now with the new material. And
Great.
it's a lighter wheel. So we've definitely improved on our materials going forward.
And you've pretty much got every bolt pattern fixed. So we've got the 45 here, which does the 4 and the 5 bolt pattern
Correct.
Cars, roughly. So
Yeah.
maybe some smaller SUVs. And then now we have the 56, is
Correct,
that?
yeah.
Which is covering pretty much all of our SUVs and trucks.
That's right.
Which are prevalent here in the South, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we're good to go there. What's the weight rating on the 56?
So the same thing. It's the same composite, same material, same rating. 3,500 pounds. I don't think we're going to find anything that's not going to be able. I mean, 3,500 pounds. It's 14,000 pounds it can take.
Right.
Between the four wheels. So.
And between, I can have one on a car, or I have, in the case of 3M leaving me in the lurch, had four on a car.
Correct.
And got it around the shop real well. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about on the pattern here is you've got a little bit of a bump so to speak,
Yeah.
that's an intentional design. Tell us a little bit about the intention of that.
Yeah, so the reason I put these on, they're actually safety little speed bumps. So as soon as you go over 5 miles an hour, the car vibrates. So this is really like a safety warning to say there is a GUNIWHEEL on the car. Because a technician might just get in the car not knowing that there's one on the car and try and drive out into the road. These are not for road use.
Right.
They're only internally. So as soon as you go too fast, your car will vibrate.
Right. No
So
doing the
this is
test
safety.
drives. No doing my test drives
Yeah.
with them on there. But a little bit about how we're using them, how the shops that are using them. So there's nothing a little bit more frustrating than a car getting dropped on your lot by the tow truck and having crushed wheel, crushed tire.
Correct.
And I've got to get it into the shop to do the blueprinting process. So whether I need 2 on the front or whether I only need 1, it's a great option for me to immediately go out, get the car jacked up, get the GUNIWHEEL underneath it, and it makes getting it into the shop a whole lot easier. I can start it, drive it in
That's
if I
right.
want to,
Yep.
or it just makes pushing it a whole lot easier,
Sure.
which was one of the limitations of my dollies. So we've always had a dolly system in the shop
Correct.
that I think a lot of people have used, and they look at the GUNIWHEEL and they go, well, what do I, I've got a dolly system. Great. Those dollies don't typically work on the gravel parking
They
lot
don't.
or the asphalt where the tow truck driver has
Correct.
dropped the car. So that was one of the features that we loved. We also loved that it kept pretty much the car in process the whole time. So one of the things about my dolly system is that I may have, and I have a set of 3 for the shop, which is great, but if I've got 5 to 6 technicians and each of those technicians happens to be in an immobilized state at that point, it limited me there.
Correct. That's right.
So now we can keep the vehicles rolling around the shop. One of the other things that I loved was that it saved me storage space. So I'll be the first to admit that one of the things as a shop that I used to do was, I stole spare tires before those vehicles were hauled off for
Sure.
salvage, and that was one of the things that we would keep, and we'd take a pin and we'd write on there, Toyota or Honda or whatever. But keeping enough spare tires in the shop for enough of the bolt patterns that the
Sure.
different OEs were going to throw at me became a huge storage issue
That's
to
right.
keep them there. And then it became keeping them inflated, right?
Sure.
There's nothing worse than putting that spare tire on the
And it's
car
flat,
and
yeah.
then lowering it down. So movability. I love the fact that I can drive into even the paint booth.
Sure.
So once it's on, it doesn't really affect, I can go over speed bumps, I can go over grates that are in the shop.
Sure.
I can go up, my booth has a ramp to it, so I can roll right into the paint booth and roll out. It's increased that in productivity as well. But one of the other great benefits that we've liked about the GUNIWHEEL on cars is oftentimes in the procedures when you're replacing panels, specifically sometimes quarters, rockers, etc., the procedures are going to call for the vehicle to be loaded, meaning they want the entire vehicle weight setting on the suspension. Impossible to do with jack stands. So the GUNIWHEEL allows me to lower the car, load the complete suspension, complete the panel replacement as needed according to the OE, and get that moving through the shop. Now, one of the things that I'm glad you're here for is you've got a lot of great videos online about how to use it and how to install it and how it works. But I kind of wanted you to walk the audience through the accessories, some of the do's and don'ts, so that, because every time I see somebody that's had a problem with the
Sure.
wheel, it's not been the wheel, it's been more of a user error.
Correct.
That's been simple to correct.
That's right, yeah.
So walk us through it real quick.
Yeah, sure. So with the GUNIWHEEL, obviously, trying to keep the wheel as simple and as universal as possible, we had to come up with some, accessories to make it work with most cars. At this stage, I still haven't come across a car that the GUNIWHEEL 45 doesn't fit on, or the GUNIWHEEL 56 doesn't fit on. Let me just go back on this on the 45
Yeah.
and the sizes. So if you look at the wheel, you'll actually see the pattern here is from 45, and then you've got your 5. It starts from 100 PCD all the way up to 137 PCD. That's a wide range of cars. Your cars, your most common are around the 130, 134 area. So you'll probably get a lot of wear around here. And then the center bore is important. This is a 78 center bore, and you'll see the 2 center bores are way different because on your trucks, your biggest center bore is 110. That's why I couldn't fit both wheels or both designs into one wheel, because I would have lost a lot of these PCDs for the smaller cars. So that's why we came up with 2 different wheels. Now, what accessories you get is a spacer. When do you need the spacer? Please, and I have to say this,
Yeah.
believe it or not, spacers don't go in the front. I've seen many pictures and videos where guys are putting the spacer in the front and trying to use it as a washer. The spacers aren't made for strength, they're made as a spacer. Spacer goes at the back when you've got a bigger brake caliper. So if you've got a Brembo, or you've got the bigger M3s or the bigger AMGs, put a spacer on, and then you will not force and over torque the wheel, because you cannot get it flush on the hub if you're touching against the caliper. Spacers are made for that. These wheels do have quite a large offset, so it's going to be hardly uncommon to use, but you are going to come across a car where you're going to need it.
Right.
So that's what we use the spacers for. The back of the car, the back of the wheel, and just to make sure that you give yourself some more offset. Some other accessories we got is the Goonie bolt. You can actually see it's a very short bolt. So Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW, the German cars come with the bolts, right? Where a lot of the Japanese, American cars have got the studs sticking out of the hub. So what happens is a lot of the Mercedes come out with a very long bolt. So when you're trying to tighten the wheel, it's going to get to the end, it's going to get to the back of the hub, and it's not going to have any more room to tighten. And that's where we supply these. So this will help you tighten the Goonie wheel onto the hub.
Right,
nice
so if
and
my
flush.
lug bolt is too long.
That's right.
Perfect.
So that's right, yes. If the lug bolt's too long, we've got these for you. If your studs are too long and your acorns don't let you go all the way in, we've got the open-end acorns. So you can actually go all the way in and tighten it. So that's what the open-end nuts are for. And very, very important are the Goonie washers. The Goonie washers are used to support the front of the wheel, because we are finding that when there's damage happening here, they're over-torquing the wheel. We've got it everywhere here where it says 50 pounds max is more than enough to put the Goonie wheel on. But obviously we know in our world, we're rushing, we're torquing it, we've got the guns, and unfortunately we're gonna damage the Goonie wheel. This will prevent the damage. Put the Goonie washer first, put your bolt in, and then you can try and tighten it as hard as you want, it's not gonna break. So this is a great preventative measure to protect the Goonie wheel.
That's
Cheap
perfect.
solution. We, as Goonie Wheel, what we are going to do, anybody that has bought or purchased Goonie Wheels, we are going to be sending them a free packet of washers
Perfect.
going forward. So they just got to email sales@GUNIWHEEL, and we will send them a free packet of washers.
Perfect. So one of the things I get asked a lot of times when I post about it is, so, hey, Kristen, with these slots, does it slip while I'm driving? Will it fall out while I'm driving?
No, so if you've tightened it enough, it would not. Remember, you're going through a threaded system, so
Right.
it will not come unthreaded. Yeah.
So we're good to go there.
You're good to go, and you're going 5 miles an hour. You're going from one side of your lot to the other. You're not going on the highway. You're not going on the road, and please don't.
Yeah.
And please stop doing burnouts. I've had a few videos sent to me where guys are trying to do burnouts, and so that's really the whole history behind and the story of the Goonie Wheel. Keep productivity, keep efficiency. Get your car from mechanical to paint to prep to detail, and get the custom car out of there. Who benefits? Customer, body shop, insurance companies. No more rentals. You're getting the guys out of there quicker. And then restoration guys. They love the Goonie Wheel, because now they're not putting those expensive classic tires and wheels on the car, moving it around the shop, overspraying it, messing up the tires. They're using the Goonie Wheels, doing their build, taking it to the show on Goonie Wheels, and then swapping out the wheels.
Yeah, and that's one of the features that some of my builders, some of my SEMA builders, some of the guys on the Discovery Channel, well, it's now Motor Trend TV now, right, have sent me some messages on, because a lot of times they've got sometimes $3,000 to $5,000 in just the wheel, one wheel that's on some of these show cars, especially some of our Riddler cars. Or our Cup cars that are out in California, and being able to trailer the vehicle in and out without having to have those expensive wheels on there, or even store it. So we have one client that has approximately 120 vehicles in his collection, and so they sit a while, and if I let those cars sit loaded, does some crazy things to those tires.
It does, correct. Yeah, and storage. We are going into the winter now, so a lot of the boats and a lot of the jet skis get stored away. Put the Goonie Wheels on. Protect your tires, get them ready for summer. Don't do flats, get rid of the flat spots, right?
Yeah.
The dry rotting. I've actually got my boat on Goonie Wheels now, so it gets stored away, and I know when summer comes, I just put my original wheels on, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, no problems, no issues.
No problems.
Because we always discover those issues about 20 miles down the road, on the side of the road.
When it's too late, right?
Yeah, when it's always loaded up. So, obviously, the wheel is fantastic. It gets the cars into the shop, which is something I've not seen another product that's really been able to help me to do. When I get dropped one that's a little total front end damage, or really a hard hit rear in the back, gets it into blueprint faster, keeps it moving around the shop. Lets me repair cars with loaded suspension, but not having to keep it on the wheel, etc., that I'm working on. So there's really no downside to the GUNIWHEEL or not having one, or why you should have one in the shop.
Sure.
But how do I get them? How do I get them in my shop now?
Yeah, so
I got a connection. I call you.
Sure.
But you know.
Yeah, so we made it pretty easy. LKQ Keystone, I mean, you know their network is worldwide. They are my exclusive distributor for the GUNIWHEEL. You know, they've been a great partner in it. They're loving the product. You know, we're having a good relationship with them. It is available through all their locations countrywide, Canada, and through the European subsidiary, Euro Car Parts. They also stock in the wheel. So if anybody needs GUNIWHEELs, lkqonline.com, or you can go straight to www.guniwheel.com and order through us, and it will be shipped out by LKQ. So LKQ is my exclusive distributor for the GUNIWHEEL.
Perfect. So one-stop shopping, and they're going to make sure it happens.
And it's free shipping. So you order online, they drop it at your door probably the next day or within 2 days. So you'll have your GUNIWHEELs. And they've got some great deals going on at the moment.
Oh, that's perfect. And I was so glad to see that the 56 finally came out. I think it was one of the things at SEMA. I was like, well, what am I going to do with some of these larger trucks, four-wheel drives, et cetera? But you already had the answer to that.
Correct.
So
yeah.
You didn't need my opinion on that one, right?
yeah. So something more exciting about the SEMA, we were actually nominated this year for the Manufacturer of the Year award. So we are one of the nominees for that award. So
that'd be nice if you can have 2 back-to-back SEMAs.
That would be great, yeah.
Yeah, and
so
pick something up.
Yeah.
So be sure to go visit the website, GUNIWHEEL.com, or check with your local LKQ Keystone distributor about getting some in your shop. You may want to sit down, do a little bit of SOP writing to figure out how many you're going to need in your facility and make sure you have all the right sizes. But very, very important, don't forget all the accessories that you need, and be sure that you train everyone in the shop on the proper install and use of the GUNIWHEEL. Like I said, as I've been going through it since around April of this year, when I've ran into a failure issue, it's come back to just improper install. So as long as your guys are trained, the GUNIWHEEL is going to be a great service for you. If you have any questions, want more information, or just want to talk to me about the tool and how we're using it, well, you can always hit me up on the website. Thanks.